All right, good evening, guys. This is the Sunday night strategy podcast for October 25th, 2020. We're going to look at half a dozen swing trade frames, courtesy of Pavel. So we're looking at DIA on daily charts. One thing I'll notice right off the bat, here's kata number 2. This one would have been kata number 2 if we had gotten the RL10 to cross, because you'd had a low, a higher low, but you didn't get the RLXD here. This one becomes a kata 2. That's also an SSC, because you have the winter, the bottom crosses the dragon, baby dragon crosses the dragon, winter turns to spring, PSAR flips, and it's also kata 2 in the sense that that's a low, that's a higher low, and it's part of this continuous, a low and a higher low. In the same sense, I think this one, you'd have been justified taking that one with a risk here. So now what we have is we have a high, and that's actually a fractionally lower high right here. So this is a cause for some concern about the downside. But every good swing trade, every good trade that's in a critical state has a compelling argument for a trade to the downside. So to me, this one is that if it breaks the Bollinger Band mean, you have targets at Z1, Z2, real body. And this one, previous belly of the dragon, is also really a strong support. So if you're short one in here, then this is really the next place to get short. And then if this breaks, that's where you want to be 3 short. Putting those extra bullets on. And then if you come all the way back over to here, that's where you'd want to be 4 short at 254. And that would be about a, roughly a 15% sell-off from this swing high. So that's how you could build that position on the short side. I like that we have a low and a higher low here. So a breakout here, and then working your way up the stack. This would be peak of the dragon. This is the PSAR flip, which is also the peak of the RL10. And then this one is like a Z2, but it's also the previous RL10 peak. So that gets you four entries to the upside. And if it clears 290, 292 and beyond, man, this thing is just going to go, right? So this is a nice risk box. I think this is where the break of the 280 right here, I suppose, at the Bollinger Band mean, is where I would really start getting serious on the short side. With the election shenanigans in the very near future, there's some volatility baked into this cake. And so, so the downside to me is significant. And you can see the last time we were here, it went from here to there in 2 legs. So that is certain, and got that done in 5 days and 10 days total. So this could all be in place. A move down to here, down to this level, could all be in place by election day. The upside is harder to justify from a rational basis, but I suppose it could be done. But the downside is easier to see, and that'll happen faster than an upside. So good frame. I like that one. We'll take a look at our other partner over here, EWZ from kata number 1. All right. This is Brazil. So you see the same kind of pattern here, although the downside in Brazil is more exaggerated. So you had a low and a high. Here's the first one. Now this was a nice re-entry here because what you had was leg 1. The pullback couldn't even get into the dragon or across the dragon, much less down to test the PSAR. In fact, this thing just reversed right away. So this move gives us leg 2. This would be leg 1. Here's your PSAR flip. Now this rollover, which is riding the the edge of the river, the edge of the Z2. So there's Z3. I would ask Pavel to put those in red in order to create the reminder of just why that is so important. So this is riding Z2, can't make a new high. PSAR flips and rolls over, and here's your RLXD, and that's your supported fall crossing to the downside. That's like, in one sense, that's like kata 1 because it's like the SSC, but it's the SFC, but we're calling that kata 2. And then that one runs you right back to this level here. So the size of this move is also the size of that move. You'll notice how symmetrical those are. And again, now you have a high of the dragon, a lower high. So that makes this a collapsing dragon because you now have 1, 2, 3. Here's the RLXD, although you get it right here. And then when it breaks through here, this is the collapsing dragon. This is the pocket entry right here in that little elbow. I think of that as an elbow. So entries in that region are in the pocket. So we get a low. Now we have winter. RL10 bottoms out, crosses the baby dragon, crosses the dragon, RLXD. Here's the PSAR flip, flips to spring. This is the SSC. If you treat that as the noisy chop, what you really have is just the first hint that this thing is working. And now you can see the next targets to the upside are going to be the peak of the dragon. Peak of the RL10 is going to be about here. God, I can't draw a straight line to save my life. So if this is the size of the risk, we have 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 units of reward to the upside. And then if this rolls over and fails, we have 1, 2, 3, probably 4 units of reward to the downside. So that makes this a perfect critical state. And then each of these, that looks like a couple reasonable places to add. And each of these look like places to add. And then the big win would come if this fails through like 27. By that time, you'd have 4 positions on and it fails. But there's a downward feel to this one. And that could be a COVID issue because, you have a high, a lower high, so that's pointing down. And then if this rolls over, if it doesn't work, then that's going to feel like the beginning of a rollover. And so you take the size of this move down, and you project that onto here, and you definitely are going to get a move down to 26. And then this little strategy of adding positions at these red lines will let you build up a nice cushion, and you'll be postured for a big win if it breaks 26. So yeah, again, critical state in Brazil. Apple next. Low, higher low. Here's that move on the RLXD. That's Kata 2. I should just summarize that as K2. Now what we're looking to see is, will this hold support at the Bollinger Band mean? It really has to, because if it comes down and violates this, and you have a high and a lower high, if this little belly of the dragon gets violated here, now this feels like a sell-off, which means it's going to come down to here. But if it can hold support here and resume, then what you have is a low, then this would be a higher low, and if it can get above this price level, then your target is here. And if it can get above that, you want 3 positions by that time. So adding a second position at least there. I could see getting long here and riding it through to here, and then if it breaks above this hump, adding that second position. So now you get 2 going north, and then if it breaks above this hump, now you've got 3 going north, and off it goes. Long term, I think that's a good play in Apple. Great consumer company there. The downside, you're not really certain this thing is failing until it gets like below, I think, probably 108. And then all of this, there's no support in there at all. It just runs right down into this. That break would happen fast. So you'd be if you can get a short around 114 and just take 1 position, then add the second position on a break there, you'd be all right. So Apple, critical state, good trade. Home Depot, fascinating. Boy, is that ever at a key intersection now. For the longest while, Home Depot could do nothing wrong. You had at a bottom. This retracement barely even budged. So now you have Kata 2 here. Leg 1, pause. Leg 2, this is an indicated second position. This is another K2 right here, because the pullback, this is the pullback that wasn't. The pullback was just a sideways consolidation and resumption. So then you get this. This was legitimately the start of a third leg, but it failed to follow through. Now you have a support level still above where it held support before, but now you got a high a lower high. Now this feels like 1, 2, 3, and short. Made a temporary low. So this was a potential SSC. This was an emerging dragon here. And now you have this really important double top being established. At 290 is just immensely important. The problem is that we have that these swings down are getting bigger in scope. So if this fails, you would expect it to come down here to 266. And it's already right at that critical Bollinger Band level. So that 280 is really important here. And so is 274 for the if this just resumes, then all is good. This feels like 1, 2, 3. If this doesn't hold, then it's a tactical move down to here. And if it held support here, it would still be 1, 2, 3. It's just that it came all the way down to the edge of the river. But if that doesn't hold, now it really looks down because now it's violated the belly of the dragon. And so 270. Yeah. So call this is like 280. Call it 275 and 270. So it could come all the way down to 275 and resume, and that would be okay. But if it comes to 270 and can't resume, then that is really the signal that this thing is failing. And then the rest of the market will be suffering, because if Home Depot, one of the great strengths of the Dow, can't hold, then you can just imagine what the rest of the Dow is looking like. So this is sort of going to be a bellwether for the strength in the Dow, because it's the opposite of the tech darlings. It's just these are just guys that are using savings to improve their homes or to plus up their homes to be ready to flip them. So it's the opposite of tech. Caterpillar, just as beautiful as you could want. This is why we've been highlighting this one week over week. A low, a higher low. There's your Kata 2 entry. Leg 1, a peak, a pullback, finds a higher low. So now you have one higher low, two higher lows. That makes this another K2. Leg 2. So there's leg 1, there's leg 2. Notice that's about the same level of gain from 140 to 156. That's plus $16. And then this move from here to here is from 150 to 170. That's plus 20. So if anything, that second leg was even stronger. And so now, we're in a 5-day consolidation poised for either one of those. The upside is easy. It's just the start of leg 3. And these 1, 2, 3 levels of entry will get you multiple positions in. On the downside, if this breaks, I see 166 as crucial, because that's the dragon support, then the PSAR support, then the Bollinger Band mean support. So this is where, if you got short here, I don't think I would add a second position here. I would add a second position here. If you decided not to get short here but waited to get short here, I think that would be fine. This is where I'd add the second position, though, at the PSAR. And third position at the break of the Bollinger Band mean. And when Caterpillar turns, after a sell-off, it takes some time for it to find support and for the buyers to come in. It took some time. So there's time on the downside to exploit the weakness and then get out of the position. This is not something that sells off and then instantly returns. This is one that kind of sells off gradually, finds support, and then resumes with a big, powerful move, which makes it beautiful for swinging. Also, this is one of those where on the 65-minute chart, that modified form of hourly that Jerome Gonzalez showed us, that you would see this as an amazing swing trade expressed over 65-minute charts. So I think this Caterpillar is one that is definitely worth pursuing intraday in that way. All right, let's pick one more from the metals. Nice. Old Cliff. This looks like somebody knows something about the metals. Long consolidation, first leg up, long consolidation. Fake one, go two. Supported spring crossing. There's your PSAR flip. Leg one, pause. Leg two, with an explosive move that they were holding over the weekend. So this could be ready for a strong move to $10 on the upside. On the other hand, intraday, I think I would be short this sooner than all the way down here at 8. But this is where I would pick up a short position on a swing trade and then hit it each one of these as they failed. I would be adding positions on the downside, believing that it's going to come back to 7. So that range is so wide that you can trade intraday on this with a hybrid trade, hybrid frog, and just play it tactically. But then if it breaks out above that yellow zone, then a swing trade in the direction of the movement is indicated. Okay, so that one should be a lot of fun. Let's see. Last one up, PBW, Clean Energy. This is not that much different from CAT, although it's a little bit later in its consolidation phase. Support level, support level, support level. So that makes this K2, 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 all Kata 2 entries. And that's the one that really paid. The pullback to this level here has been very orderly, but it's enough to make the dragon roll over and have one test to the downside, which immediately corrected. And now you have a perfectly postured breakout. If it breaks out to the upside, these entries will get you positions, multiple positions for the swing trade to really work. So that's leg one. You might call this one leg one, and this one leg two. And then this would be the start of leg 3 once it breaks above this RL10. That's the start of leg 3. And then a failure here, back to the Bollinger Band mean, would not be surprising. That would be orderly. The next target down here is 57. If that breaks, then Clean Energy is over. That would really be extraordinary when you take a look at all of this buying pressure in here. That's guys that were hitting the ask. So for that to fail, I would almost say 60 is really the last resort. But the Bollinger Band mean, to me, is the real indicator. Because if you got 2 positions short by here, test 60, If that breaks, it breaks big. So yeah, I like short. I like a second short here, third short there, and then you're in good shape. The upside will take care of itself in PBW, long-term keeper, because that's just institutions buying it for long-term, the green new energy deal, right? Okay. All right, that's everything I got for tonight. Thanks a lot for your kind attention. We got some work to do to get ready for tomorrow. I'll get this published and posted in the usual way and get all the links from this weekend into Patreon here in the next couple minutes. They just finished uploading to YouTube. Okay. Take good care, and we will see you tomorrow.